All right, guys, welcome back to the FFP series. Last time we talked about the desktop version. Quick recap, it's just a button to press station that has a female 510 to accept the induction module from Dynavap. So we're going to put this to the side because today we are taking the FFP on the go, which makes this a really different experience, something that I had not seen out of a Dynavap before. The closest thing I could really equate it to is maybe something like a log or a tiny mite. So let's get set up to show you what I'm talking about. We're going to get a stem with an adjustable air port to make this more one-handed. I've got my mini MVS here. I'm going to just close the air port down so it's really small. I also use the turbo twist with this since you don't really have to mess around with the air port. The reason I'm not doing the turbo twist today is because I'm going to be putting a tube on the end of my mini MVS. That way you guys can see what's going on with the induction heater and not my head in the way hitting the vapor. On the other end, I just have a stinger, little mouthpiece, kind of a fun whip setup. All right, so I'm going to jump right into it. I'm going to show you the way I like to use it with the mod, and then I'm going to go over some of the settings and setup of the Aegis X itself, just because it is a little complicated and there are a lot of settings in here, most of them which we don't need for our application, but I just want to show you how I use this first just because I am that excited about it, and I think it really changes the way that the Dynavap works with an induction module, especially for on-the-go use. So for starters, we're going to take our device, we're going to set it to 55 watts, which is the baseline that I start for titanium. Stainless steel, I set to 50 watts. And again, changing the cup by unscrewing it like this is what allows you to change the ingress. And that's like moving the torch up and down the cap. Changing the wattage is like moving the torch towards and away from the cap. So I'm going to set mine at 55 watts. Now you'll notice that if you have it screwed onto the mod and you fire it, it'll say ohm too high. That's normal. That's fine. It'll change once you put a device inside. So it is actually kind of nice that it won't fire without the device inside. Makes me feel more confident about putting it in my pocket if I might forget to turn the device off. To turn the device off, really easy. Put a vac cap inside, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it turns the device off. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it turns the device back on. Okay, so like we talked about in my last video, using this as a standard induction heater, when you put it on the mod, using it like a standard induction heater doesn't really change very much. You just insert the device and hold the button till it clicks. The only thing to keep in mind is that with this mod, there is a 10-second shut off for safety because this is a NIC mod. There are certain things that we just can't edit about it that they do as safety for coils that fire without needing a device inside. So that means if you have the cup screwed all the way down and you're at 55 and you're using a titanium tip and you push and hold the button, you're probably going to hit that 10-second cutout. So what I do is right before that 10-second cutout, I just let go of the button and push the button again, because on the mod at these settings, I'm getting anywhere from 13 to 16 seconds to my second click. So you'll need to just jump that 10-second cutout. But again, you can even just let go of the button at 8 or 7 seconds. And once you really get the rhythm down and kind of get used to how this device works, it makes it really easy to operate. Okay, but that being said, using this as an induction module is great and easy and works like any other on-the-go induction module. But what this does that other induction modules can't is basically turn the Dynavap into an on-demand heater vape device like a Tiny Mite or a Log. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So some of us are calling this the sip and dip method. Drop any fun names you can come up with in the comments. It's always cool to see what people come up with. Quick recap, cup all the way down, 55 watts because I'm using a titanium tip, and I have a device with an air port that can close down. It's fine if you don't have a device that has a non-adjustable air port. It just means you'll have to do your work with your fingers, and it makes it a little less of a one-handed device because then you'll need to click the button and hold the air port at the same time as you inhale, which is fine. But using an adjustable air port or something with no air port even makes this a very one-handed device. So just so you know, again, this is just going to a whip to my mouth just so I can keep everything in frame and show you guys what's going on. So basically, what's going to happen is I'm going to put the device inside of the chamber, and I'm just going to leave it there. And I'm going to push the button and pulse the button to heat up the vap cap inside. And as I'm pulsing the button, I'm going to be inhaling to taste how hot the vapor is and how flavorful it is coming through. And this is going to be similar to the style of using maybe a VapMan, where you have to check how hot the vapor is. And once I hear the first click after pulsing the power, I am only going to click as I inhale. So once I hit that first click, I'm going to let go of the button, I'm going to inhale, and then I'm going to click and pulse the button basically to keep the heat up. And at this point, the button becomes like a gas pedal. You want more heat, more vapor, and you want to get more out of the bowl that you have in there, just click the button. If you're going to exhale and take a break, stop hitting the button, because then you'll cook it too hard, and the goal is to not push it towards combustion. So let's just show you kind of what I'm going to be doing here. And mostly just keep in mind that when I am clicking, I am inhaling. Not for these first couple seconds though. So as you saw, or I don't know if you guys could hear, but I did actually hit the second click there. I was a little too aggressive with my clicks, but again, it's hot, it's a little warm inside the room that I'm in, so it varies and will change how often you need to click. And I still haven't heard the cool down clicks, so I can just drive the induction heater and inhale. And do everything by taste. Okay, that felt pretty done there. So let's take a look. That was actually an interesting experience doing that with a whip. I hadn't done that before, so it was a little bit of learning there for me. And as you can see, a very thorough dark extraction, which is awesome. Awesome that you can drive it all by taste. You get a full, thorough, even extraction there. And without the whip, you can just, put the device in, and you just basically at that point take the whip off, and you just can drink it like a sip in your cup of coffee or something. It looks very discreet, and in the day and age that we live with all these crazy Nick mods out there, hitting this in public isn't so wild. I don't know, because of the way the form factor is, with the wand, it was always real weird because you had to like hold this and hold the wand over it and kind of have this real, like, obviously you're not smoking or you're not vaping like a Nick mod. Because of the way this looks, like, you could almost get away with this, just doing this in a really crowded location, and no one would probably think twice about it, which is another thing I really like about this style of the sip and dip. The other really good thing about doing the sip and dip is that it's good for battery management, right? Because you are leaving the tip inside of this glass cup, and this glass cup does get kind of warm. I wouldn't say it gets hot to the point where it's going to like burn you or give you a blister or anything, but it does get warm, right? So when you touch it, just be careful, especially out of a lot of back-to-back use. It might be a little startling, but I have to say, after using my Puffco Proxy, the top of that cup also gets very hot, so this doesn't get any hotter than my Proxy cup at all. But the benefit of the cup heating up is that when you leave the device in there, now you're making like a little oven for the tip, and the tip won't cool down click as fast because the glass cup is retaining that heat and making a little heat chamber for it. Also, because it retains that heat, you have to you push the button less and you drive the unit less, which also helps for battery life, right? So overall, using this in this style is very efficient, super effective, really nice that you don't have to wait for both clicks. You can kind of just drive it like a gas pedal. Or Chris, the guy who is the developer of this induction module, he calls it surfing the clicks, which is a pretty good name, because that's really what you're doing. You just hear that first click and inhale and push the button to just keep it right around that first click or just after that second click. And you can get these wonderful deep dark extractions, which has led this to be my favorite induction heater at this point. As much as I was an advocate of the Flix and absolutely loved the Flix, it has now been shelved, and I sold my wand, and this is it. The FFP is the way of the future, and I cannot wait to see what custom makers start making for the top to this. I think it's going to lend a lot of potential to make some really cool custom wood induction modules, or even maybe some titanium anodized ones would be really awesome. And the last thing I wanted to touch on is I know a lot of people are going to be asking about the battery life for this. I'm getting minimum 50 plus sessions, especially using it as like this log situation or sip and dip or whatever you want to call it. I'm getting a lot of use out of this, and the battery life is great. Using it just, I gotta be honest, once I discovered the sip and dip method with this mod is really the only way that I use it now. Using it like a normal induction heater kind of feels archaic at this point. So I go days without having to charge this, and on the go, out and about, it's a really easy system to use, and you still get to use your favorite vape caps. So highly suggested to go this route. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments. And that's it for the FFP. So stay lifted.